So anybody come to last month's meeting? Yeah. So I did the presentation on my laying worker hive. Since that time, I merged them. So I'm going to do a follow-up presentation on what has happened. I'm going to give you some back history on the hives and how I got to where I was. There's Yasmin. Yasmin has been helping me with my hive since about April. And I thought you weren't going to show up. I'm thinking, I asked her to come to the front. She's like, no way. So I'm like, you know what? The way that she's not going to come to the front is she's just not going to show up. But she did show up. So a little bit of back history. I had 6 hives going into winter. I had 4 10-frame hives and 2 nukes. Coming out of winter, and you guys saw my, my autopsy. Did you guys watch my autopsy? So I showed one of the hives and what happened. Coming out of winter, I had 2 10-frame hives. I don't think the next frame explains it, so I'm going to say what happened. The green box on the right was queen right. The one on the left didn't have a queen. I now think that it may have swarmed or something. And maybe she was a virgin queen and I just didn't see her. But I did check a couple other weeks after that and never found her. So in a hurry, I'm just going to tell you all my mistakes. In a hurry, I thought, you know what? All I really need are some eggs. If they've got eggs, they'll make a queen. So I took the queen out of the green box, put it in the other box without letting her acclimate. And sure enough, the next time I looked, she was gone as well. So at that point, I had to figure out what to do. Is that the next one? Yeah. I had to figure out what to do. And at that point, I had now 2 hives with no queen. So I needed a queen. So on the morning of, is Janet here? Janet said she was coming. Janet's not here. On the morning of April 8th, Russ had gone out to Chicago and needed help looking at his hives. In the process, I asked him if I could get some brood, eggs specifically, to possibly put in my hives, and he was okay with that. Shot these pictures on the way back of the eclipse, driving home. Got home, and the 2 hives were put together into the green box, and I put Russ's brood and eggs in that and thought, fingers crossed, girls make a queen. The next day, you can just go to the next frame. I'm going to try to go through this quickly. There's a lot of. So if you look back at the date when I got those frames from Russ to when I got that, I'm now thinking that they didn't make that in my hive. That queen cell might have been on the process because that was 6 days after I put it in my hive. I think that's too soon, right? No, they could have done that in 6 days. Okay. Well, then they did make it. And Russ and I really are the co-parents to that queen. Next frame, please. The next day after I saw that, I went to George's and I picked up 2 queens, one for me, one for Peggy. You can go to the next one. And George said, just get rid of, where's George? Because I want him to hear how, where is he? There. Yeah, he's talking. I want him to hear how I didn't listen to him. He's like, just get rid of the queen cell. Put the queen, the mated queen, in the box and just be done with it. And I'm like, I can't kill queens. I have never killed a queen. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take the cell and put it in nuke 1, and I'm going to take the mated queen and put it in nuke 2. The April 28th in nuke 1, where the cell was, I observed her already making queens. However, what I did listen to George with is instead of splitting a 10-frame to 2 10-frames, I split my 10-frame to 2 5-frames. So essentially, I kind of did what he wanted. I kept it the same size, which is what he's big on. I didn't realize that was a video. This is me talking to George saying, I really don't want to do it your way. I want to do it my way. All right. That same afternoon, I got a call to go get a swarm from a friend that said it was down at the Fallcraft School. Mark helped me through this process because I had never captured a swarm before. So I got that swarm, put them in. I saw the queen. I held her. I put her in, but I didn't cage her, which was a lesson learned. Cage your queen, then put her in the box. Got the bees in at least as much as I could. You can go to the next frame. This is me talking to Mark. All right. So that became the Fallcraft swarm. I got it home. I never saw the queen. I don't know what happened to her. My guess is that she went back out of the box and went back to the tree, and I could never find her. 3 weeks from the time I got that home, it became a laying worker hive. Thank you to Yasmin, who noticed that and pointed that out to me. And this is the box that was eventually merged with Nuke 1. Captured on 415 and doomed by 5.6. I did feed it eggs. I did give it frames of brood. I kept it, tried to get it to come back as much as I could, but it never made a queen. So it got to the point, once it became a laying worker hive, that I absolutely had to merge it. So you can go to the next frame. All right, so these are the notes I took. Yasmin said, I think you've got a laying worker. So you can see she and I keep very extensive notes of all the different hives. And this is the only reason I was able to make this presentation and have dates and have everything so organized, because I'm usually not this organized, but this is really helping me manage my hives. And then you find things like this. Can you go to the next one? Yeah, I don't really know what that is. So I said to Yasmin, I said, why did I write this? She's like, I have no idea. I'm like, I wonder what I was thinking when I wrote that. Not sure what that means, but I thought I would leave that in for some humor. All right, let's go to the next one. This is the Fallcraft swarm. That's the only picture of it I have. And that one is the condo hive. We're going to have a little demonstration about that one later. When I decided to bring the purple box, the purple box is the laying worker hive. Generally, Yasmin said you just put that on top. And my fear was, well, if I put that on top and the queen and the brood are on the bottom, are they going to smell through the paper that far away? I was really afraid they wouldn't get the scent and that they would break through and never get acclimated before they went through. So I said, you know what? I want to put it right over the queen and right over the brood box. I really want them to get the scent. So I put only one layer of tissue paper between the top, what would have been a brood box, but there was no queen in there. I said, they don't really need to protect anything there, but I'm going to put 4 layers of tissue paper on the bottom. So that's what I did. And I waited, what was this? It was merged on the 13th. Oh, and then I noticed, I'm like, Yasmin, I don't have a top exit. There's no way for them to get out. I'm like, is that going to be a problem? Like, are they going to have like a dysentery problem in the box, not being able to get out and do their cleansing flight? And she's like, no, I think it'll be fine. So they basically had to chew through those 2 layers to get out and relieve themselves. All right, so let's go to the next one. So basically it was 5 days, 4 days, 4 days. So 4 days. And then this is what we found. You can go to the next one. They literally, this is the top. This is only 1 layer. They chewed through. We weren't really too surprised by that. You can go to, these are just pictures, Mark. That's still the top layer, just a closer one. That is now, that's still the top, right? Because that's the purple box. That's the top of the purple box. Go 1 more. This is now, you can see the purple one coming off, and that's the bottom. That's 4 layers of tissue paper. They like chewed through that in 4 days, clean. Absolutely, they had a perfect square in there. And I've got some pictures once I pulled out frames what the bottom of this hive looks like. You can go 1 more. And all the paper is still at the bottom, laying on the screen. So now we've got to go in here and we got to figure out, is there a queen? Did she survive? Is she alive? Is she doing what she's supposed to be doing? So this frame of brood, I'm assuming, was probably already there because they didn't do that in 4 days. Right, Carol? You're usually the one that nods her head and tells me whether I'm right or wrong. I said they didn't do that in 4 days. She didn't lay and cap that like that in 4 days. So that's the old brood is what I'm pretty sure. So how do I know it worked? I got eggs. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there are eggs. And then there's the queen. And she was marked yellow. Yeah. So once I saw that, I was like, oh, thank God. It is really, it's nerve wracking, especially after I purposely killed, well, I didn't purposely, but especially after I already killed the queen. I did 2 merges. So sometimes the results are going to be different. And here's a different result. This was newspaper. I finally found like some flyers of some like ads. And I believe, I don't remember what I did. Was it 1 or 2 layers, Yasmin? Was it 2 layers? So that's 2 layers of newspaper and they broke through, but it wasn't as clean as the tissue paper, 4 layers. And then the other thing I noticed, and Yasmin, you didn't point this out when you were looking through my slides, but I think that's 2 eggs. If like you can't tell here, but they hadn't corrected themselves yet. but she was laying eggs, and that was another successful merge. So I do have 2 successful laying worker merges, and there is the queen from this hive. So there are only 2 slides from the other hive. This is the final. Where am I now? These are all 4 of my hives now. So those nukes, I'm not talking to you. Those nukes became 10 frame hives. And I heard George mention earlier, do splits. When Yasmin and I went in this past weekend, this is the queen cell, and this is the George's queen that he gave me. They were making queen cells, and this queen that I got from Russ, the cell they made, she's actually laying better than the queen that was purchased that George gave me. So I don't want to lose her. So Yasmin and I decided to make a split. So I made my split. One of the things I'm doing to kind of keep track, I think it's my last frame. One of the things that I'm kind of doing to keep track of everything I've got is I'm putting bricks up top, and I've got on my inspection reports, all of my hives are named, like N1 for Nuke 1, H1, JM is Jeff Murphy here. Jeff Murphy gave me a swarm, so that's the JM. And then this is the split. So I'm just trying to keep track because sometimes I lose track of which hive is which. So that's my way of naming them in a non-permanent way. I can just move the bricks around.